It seems we're back at this again. It's about time I finally updated this Let's Play. It's been, what, 3 months almost? Let's continue. That was it. Nika-chan didn't. Nika-chan hadn't been in first, but she continued to escape being in last. Nika-chan said it in her usual calm manner with a cheery tone. This was undoubtedly a declaration of war. Such stoicism from this little girl who'd always hidden away in Satoko's shadow. It would probably be rude not to meet her head on. I shall face you myself, little one. I saw Mion swap a few cards with Dika in the middle of the game, but pretended I didn't see. Do you believe you can defeat KH Sama with just that? Everybody looked over at me. I was still brimming with confidence. Mwahaha! The four of them have allied against me. That's it? You're making me laugh. Satoko let out a shriek. Mwahaha, you simpletons. Using up all her cards before calling the reversal left Rika-chan with no good cards. She was defeated soon after. Wear cat ears, a bell collar, and tail. Mwahaha. Even the penalties were as I wished. Nika-chan hung her head and equipped the three holy artifacts. It's questionable as to why such things were in Mion's locker, but since I had no objections, I didn't ask. This is adorable. Oh, this was so how I felt like I had become Rena. This was definitely cute. It wasn't me talking. That was the actual Rena. As Rika-chan mimicked a cat, teary-eyed rings of smoke escaped from Rena's ears with an audible poof. Mian gasped and dropped her fist into her open palm. I thought that Rena in cute mode would be able to defeat me. Would it be that easy? Opposing me was the same as opposing God. I'd teach them their place. For a moment, I didn't know what was going on. The 50 cards danced and flowed freely between Rena's hands like the machinations of a master magician. In the middle of those flowing cards was Rena's ecstatic expression, her head bobbing around. My whole body knew it already. I was going to die. Everyone cheered. I was spent. I don't really like how this collar is drawn because it's drawn to be big enough that Satsuko could probably, a bit painfully, mind you, squeeze her head out of it. Should probably be a little smaller in the sides, unless it's just really wide, like in ancient Magus tribe or something, but I highly doubt it. I think this is just, I just don't think this looks very good. Everybody peeked at it in unison, gazes flicking between the text and my face. Every penalty up until now. Okay, man, come on. You could say this with a straight face. It wouldn't be that difficult. And I passed out with a squeal, blood spewing from her nose like a fountain. My dignity was being trampled more than a communal doormat. Foosh, foosh. Damn it, the collar's off. So why is it off now? Mion only have one collar or something? Kinda sucks. Satoko was like a loan shark. Actually, me trying to escape reality as fast as humanly possible was pretty adorable if I did say so myself. No, it just makes you look pathetic. Well, I don't know. Looking at this figure here, tracing it with my mouse, although I don't think you can see that. Yeah, you seem to be in pretty good shape. Then again, I don't actually remember how skinny Keiichi is off the top of my head. The executioners surrounded me, wagging their fingers. Listen, I have my gripes with Meow, but of the three, when they cry boys, so the Keiichi, Battler, and Meow, Keiichi's probably my least favorite. My first thought, it's tight around the waist. Second thought, the chest area was pretty loose. Third thought, the crotch area was how. So how was this set up? Did she just strip in front of him and put this on, or did she go into a different room, change into this, and then give him the swimsuit? I have no idea. I really hope the first one is what actually happened. The stern, scientific, calculating nature mixed in with her fascination made Mion very scary. While I was saying that, Mion placed her hands on my shoulders and Rika-chan slipped up behind me without a sound. That was to put someone's his hand and pet the principal, right? Nika-chan patted my head without saying a word. I stepped forward into the principal's office. My bell collar jingled adorably. The principal froze solid with a smile on his face as he saw me. I couldn't blame him. In this sacred place of study, specifically in this office. Though I said excuse me as I entered, the sight of a person entering with a school swimsuit, cat ears, a collar, and a tail, and for it to be a young male student, without any doubt, any normal person's psyche would have stopped cold. But this could be explained. We'll call it uncanny valley camouflage, if you will. When humans see others, they can only begin to act after confirming this is human. Meaning that if he could not comprehend what was in front of him, then in those moments before he could begin to fully process the situation, his mind was completely blank. This was my one and only chance for victory. My penalty. Rubbing the principal's head. A zishing sound echoed loudly. He went straight for the special move. The principal said one thing to me, and in a heartbeat. The tremor resounded throughout the Hinamizawan twilight. Higurashi When They Cry. 07th Expansion presents Welcome to Hinamizawa When They Cry. Rena was given permission to caress Rika-chan's head as much as she wanted, so they headed home together very pleased. Once again today, it was just Mion and I going home. If I was playing with guys, I wouldn't have been that strong. If he was carried off in a stretcher, then the question now becomes who paid for that? Because clearly, if you're carried out in a stretcher, you're probably going into some care unit. If it's the school infirmatory, then I don't think it's going to be able to do anything, even a Japanese school infirmatory, to the what I can only describe as an advent, wherein Keiichi was brutally assaulted by his principal. But that is besides the point. That's true. You got to see Satoko in a collar, Rika in a cat getup, Mion in her school swimsuit, although realistically you can find any school swimsuit that looks like that. It doesn't look too crazy. And you got to rest your head on Rena's lap. I guess that is something you could boast about. You even got her to call you master as well, so I have nothing against this. Although, Keiichi, you really could have taken defeat with a little bit more grace. How? Well, when she says it like that, we both smiled at each other. It was Tomitake-san. It felt like I'd been running into him quite often. Tomitake-san suddenly leaned over and whispered into my ear. Is it just me, or do with these sprites does Mion look a bit dope-eyed? You know, she doesn't. This sprite doesn't look quite right for Mion. Because Tomitake-san let out such a crude laugh, Mion knew what we were talking about without even hearing his whispering. Mion seemed to really want to get rid of this lout quickly. From the way she spoke, it seemed as if Mion knew Tomitake-san quite well. You know, something should tip you off when you see a cameraman who takes pictures of birds looking this buff. Okay? Just saying. Okay, this seems like excellent foreshadowing because in your mind, when you're reading it, you just think, oh, this is just some guy who works out in his spare time. But in reality, when you figure out who Tomitake is, Dr. Ide and Takano, and what they're all about, you realize it's kind of in your face the whole time. And these dog tags are interesting. This is 83. I don't think he doesn't look old enough to be from the second one. However, maybe it's just a case of drawing. For example, Ava to me didn't really look 50 from Umineko, but that's besides the point. Okay, so he's in his 30s, meaning he was probably born late 50s, early 60s. I mean, not no, my bad. Late 40s, early 60s. He couldn't have been part of the war. It could be relatives, although I doubt it. He could have also enlisted in the self defense force when he was younger and just stayed training as well, but you never know. Tomitake-san began to take his leave with a dry laugh. It did look like he was outmatched by Mion. After waving a hand cheerfully, Tomitake-san disappeared amidst the cries of the Higurashi. See, when she's winking, she looks fine, but it's something about the right eye. I think it's too far to the right. It's as if she's looking into two different directions at once. The image Mion painted of Tomitake-san was fairly unique. The Tomitake-san I knew was more mysterious. The words flowed naturally from my mouth. Mion stared blankly at me as if to ask, "Why do you say that?" Like about that incident, the dismemberment. Okay, technically she didn't say you too. She said, "Yappari so mo," so what she really said is, "So you thought that." She agreed with what I thought, but was quite chipper in how she said it. Mion was posturing pretentiously, but I had easily come to a very different conclusion from what she was imagining. It felt like all apprehensions I had about Tomitoki-san disappeared, lifting a burden off my shoulders. I was finally able to appreciate how clear the evening sky over Hinamizawa was. I exhaled everything in my lungs and inhaled just as much. It smelled like dusk. We both continued to giggle, not knowing why. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, I would totally rub my hands through the hair of the great Lady Berncastel, but that's another point entirely. Just pointless chit chat. The hot day felt like it was being cooled down by the cries of the Higurashi. Higurashi when they cry. 07th expansion presents. Welcome to Hinamizawa when they cry. New tips unlocked. Tips acquired. Community notice. A fate worse than death. A achievement unlocked. View new tips. We are greeting the end of the rainy season sooner than in prior years. On this day, when it feels like summer will soon arrive, I'm pleased that everyone is in good health. The season for the Watanagashi is finally upon us. I believe the assistance of the town council will make this a wonderful festival. I also wish to ask for the assistance of everyone in regards to a few things. Collecting bazaar goods. Villagers are welcome to put their wares on show at the well received Hinamizawa Grand Bazaar exhibition. Anything is welcome from unconsumed gifts to used clothing. No raw goods, please. Management. Mikai no Tell XXXXX. Recruiting Lil Festival Drum Dancers. The renowned Lil Festival Drum Dancers group, known for its careful choreography, the Shofu Society, is taking last minute participants. We're looking for any show beat elementary and middle schoolers. Management. Kimiyoshi. Tell XXXXX. Kimiyoshi's the mayor. Taking donations. We are accepting donations in multiples of 1,000 yen. For every 1,000 yen donation, you'll be awarded a refreshment stand ticket. Management. Sonozaki. Tell XXXXX. So is this supposed to be Kasai or is it supposed to be the really old lady whose name I'm currently blanking on? We are always taking suggestions for ways to improve the festival. If you have an interesting idea, call Kibiyoshi at XXXXX. There is a 200 yen refreshment stand ticket attached below the cut line. A few days had passed since the incident. During that time, either Mion was busy or Rika-chan had to help with the festival participants, so we couldn't get everybody together for club activities. I was thinking back to the penalty game that was theorized to have been originated by Rika, the head patting one, and for some reason I got a flashback to the Kodomo no Jikan anime. Or if you read the English version, it's called Nymphet. Even though I thought I would never want to participate again after the years it shaved off my life each time, not having it only made my heart grow fonder. I really am not honest with myself. Today we finally had our club activities again. These weren't the same old club activities. It was called the Watanagashi, 5 Demon Firefight, and it was one of the biggest events in the club. Mom pulled out an old, dusty yukata. I put on the same old vest as usual. Dad let out a loud snore from the sofa. It seems my dad writes for art magazines sometimes too. I've never read it though. I wonder if my dad is a really famous artist. As his son, it's a bit strange for me to say, but I can't imagine he's selling all that well. But he's able to feed a family of 3, and my life isn't exactly full of hardship. Maybe he's actually a master painter and I just never knew it. Uh oh, it was already time. I didn't want them coming here, so I was planning on leaving early and waiting outside. I wasn't thinking about it earlier because she was wearing her PE uniform, but Rena has good proportions. Why are you blushing just from meeting my mom? Since Rena would continue to space out if I left her here, I grabbed her hand and dragged her out. Then why don't you do it right now? She waved back even as I was dragging her away. We were already in high spirits with just the 3 of us there. It was way more lively at the foot of this shrine than the last time I came, far exceeding my expectations. Throngs of people were crammed between rows of market stalls lined with colorful paper lanterns, despite that it was actually quite enjoyable. Okay, apple stand, chocolate banana, takoyaki. I'm not really sure what this is. Baby castera. Okay. Oh, they sell okonomiyaki as well, and yakisoba. That's true. I agree. These two knew everybody we came across. Of course, I greeted them as well, but I still wasn't familiar with everybody yet. Kazumasa. Okay, that was funny. Actually, good advice. You don't want to be too big, otherwise you could have a stroke, and that could be very bad. Okay. Yakimura Koshi, ice, water stand, so I guess they give water here. Ika, squid. Mm-hmm. Furan kuroru, frank roll. Or is it bankuroru? I think it's bankroll. And this is. Yeah, it's bankroll. Okay. Or is it. Wait, no, it could be makuroru, like mackerel. Maybe. As you could imagine, Mion was chatting away with the old guys running the stalls. That, of course, so long after her little condition didn't flare up. But as long as she's blushing quietly, she's pretty cute. I evaded giving her a straight answer by roughly tussling her hair. Alright, Sadako was in top form as well. Seemed she was all excited about being able to get everybody in the club together for the first time in a while. Nana let out an elated sigh. It seemed that the real lady had made her appearance. Nikita was wearing a shrine maiden outfit. Yep, Rena's little outburst was completely understandable. I see. Nikita was on the executive committee because she performed all the shrine maiden rituals for the festival. felt good to wander around the festival with just the five of us. Mion called everyone over to a stand that caught her attention and proposed a rather odd competition. You're gonna burn your mouth doing that. A standard in vendor stalls, the takoyaki stand. What were especially standard for these kinds of events was the fact that they were simply balls of dough, takoyaki in name only. But you do win, though. This stall next to it was a shaved ice stand. It was a bit too early in the season for that, but right then, it didn't matter. Those stooges were too late. The moment they chose to tackle it head on was their own downfall. Next to that was another old favorite, a cotton candy stand. On Sadako's mark, Mion, Satoko, and I all compressed the cotton candy with our bare hands. The time it took to stick the whole thing in our mouths, 3 seconds. You're going to choke doing that, but sure. Thank you for being the voice of reason, Rika. Rika-chan had also crushed it between her hands and stuck it into her mouth. I think only Rena's cotton candy was happy with how it was being eaten. But it felt like we'd end up doing stuff like eat noodles through the nose contest or human water pump at the goldfish scoop at the rate we were going. Eating noodles through the nose? Sounds painful. Shake, shake. Both Satoko and I shook our heads in unison. Rena's proposal was a godsend. It was about time we played a different kind of game. It also seemed like neither Rena nor Rika-chan were any good at speed eating or gorging themselves. That's a good trait to have. Sadako better just like pick up Rika. Mion and Sadako dashed off madly, but Rika-chan and I calmly stayed right where we were. Both Rika-chan and I stood motionless for those few moments before Mion and Sadako returned. Rika-chan sneered to the beast of her ability. You're on. Both Mion and Sadako came back, each with their own plan of attack stuffed in their arms. Where did she get those? They were old diamond shaped tin signs. That's very understated, a little too understated, Mion. I used to see those stuck up on barbed wire fences. They were more nostalgic than cute. Can you explain what part of that is cute? But there were puffs of smoke noisily shooting out of Rena's ears and nose, almost like a steam train. I didn't get it. It was the hand drawn poster from the Lady Society roasted corn stall. It was a really bad sketch done by a housewife. An anthropomorphic roasted corn drawn without any sort of real plan. Its very existence invited a sense of sorrow to the viewer. Bleep. That was the sound of blood jetting out of Retta's nose. It seemed to have been rated higher than Mion's. I really didn't get it. It feels like your artistic sense is a little avant garde by about 5 eons. I couldn't even begin to follow the way those guys were thinking. Did you and Sadako both forget? Erika-chan felt like it. She could simply. After moving back about 10 yards, she began waddling to Tirana, saying that both Mion and Sadako gasped. Too late. Mika-chan tripped over nothing and lay motionless after falling down. Rena hurried over to her. Is it really safe to trip over? This is a stall in a festival. The floor can't be that clean. People have been walking all over it all day. And her maiden outfit is a pretty light red with some white. And I mean really, really bright white. So it's probably going to. I wouldn't say it stains, but it's probably going to get a bit messy, which is not good if you're trying to do the whole festival thing. But that's just my 2 cents. Mika-chan had a lump on her forehead and tears welled up in her eyes. Only her fingers peeked out from her sleeves. This was the vital part. The palms of her hands were covered up by her sleeves. She made just a single sound. Okay, let's think back to this. I'm 14 again. Let's pretend hypothetically I've de-aged and I'm 14. Out of the 3 that have been brought so far, this one would definitely win if I was Rena, but kept every other thing about me the same. Well, Well, I do like that they foreshadowed this technically. Rena's face went completely red, her head bobbing back and forth with excitement. She embraced Rika-chan and began rubbing her cheek against her. Agreed. Am I the only one who agreed with this? I'll just pretend the sharp sting of those words cutting through me like a razor was a figment of my imagination. Or as there was this one guy in high school, he used to say imagination. It was hilarious. Nobody ever called him out except for the teacher during his senior presentation. So he got really embarrassed because he'd been pronouncing it wrong for 4 years, maybe longer. Chan turned her gaze to me with a daunting smile as she was caressed by Rena, who was in full cute mode. The cold smile is frightening Nika-chan. It must be my imagination, but I see a demon inside her sometimes. Hanyu foreshadowing? I basked in their pointed stares. I pulled Rena, who gave no sign of canceling out of cute mode, away from Rika-chan. I think kissing her would beat It would beat Rika, but you have to be a fairly handsome dude. Now, at the time of playing this game, if you're a first time reader, you have no idea what Keiichi looks like. He probably looks pretty good. I don't know. But I think that if you were an attractive man and you just kissed her, and I think you would just win. And I looked very surprised as I pulled her behind the shrine. After a bit, I returned. And a bit after that, so did Rena, dragging her feet. Mion and Satoko passed by me, heading straight to Rena. For a moment, Rena was too dazed to realize someone was talking to her. Really, you're asking her now, not after all the all the club activities? Really, Mion? You're the bigger threat here. You are the one who brought the supplies. If let's say hypothetically, for the sake of argument, Keiichi did fornicate with Rena, would that really be against the rules? No, it'd be against the law because you're doing it in public. But against the rules of the game, no. I highly doubt that's what happened, though. Exactly. Most likely it was. I honestly don't know. A teddy bear? No, that's the live action movie. Rena let out a really loud howl. Her eyes sparkled as she spoke. In the blink of an eye, Mion and Sadako's elbows smashed into my face. What? Rena looks happy. Let's say, once more, that for the sake of argument, she means that literally, and not as some code word. Once more, he did nothing wrong. Rena asked for it. And I'm not saying it in the whole, oh, you were doing XYZ, you asked for it. No, I mean, she literally said, show it to me. Keiichi did nothing wrong. And once more, I was proven right again. He did not show Rena her phallus. I'm just saying, for the sake of argument, if he did, then he would have done nothing wrong. So no, Keiichi's fine. My dark, billowing aura flowed from Mion and Satoko. It was no good. They're gonna kill me. Mika-chan stuck her hand into my pocket and pulled out my keychain. I really need to silence my cell phone whenever I record, because I don't know how many times I've been having that happen to me, but sure. Wairudo desu koto, I like it. They slung insults at each other, looked like they were ready to tear into each other at any second. I beg of you, if I'm in the clear, would you mind getting off of me? We were interrupted by the flash of a camera. It was Tomitake-san. As I lay crumpled on the ground, Mion and Satoko continued to bicker above me. Nika-chan was patting me on the head, and Rennet was still in cute mode. It was probably quite a lively scene. Please just apologize to Mion and Rena. That would make me laugh so hard. Sadako dug her heel into me. She doesn't look like she weighs that much. It would probably sting a little bit, but it wouldn't hurt. She's what, 11? Keiichi, you'll be fine. Tomitake-san looked up at the night sky cheerfully. At that moment, even though he was smiling, I sensed a bit of sadness. Tomitake-san was speechless. Everyone knew what I was trying to say. Tomitake-san was also well aware. So Rena, Mion, Satoko, and Nika-chan, none of them butted in. Normally, I'm a really talkative guy, but in situations like this, I'm at a loss for words. Even though all this was happening in such a boisterous setting, it felt like all the background noise was fading into the distance. Tomitake-san rested his hands on me gently, silencing me. Tomitake-san's smile was so slight it looked as if it was going to crumble at any minute, but it was warm. Those might be cruel words coming from a kid who didn't need to worry about working to feed himself. A hand touched my back. It was Rena. The background clamor of the festival returned. When Rena smiled, the mood instantly got brighter. That's a great idea. Or so I thought, but Mion had a snobbish look on her face. Mind you, Satuko, you yourself have not reached your prime yet, despite what your red eyes would tell us. Tomitake-san stepped back slightly at our audacious grins. Her words were quickly drowned out by our cheers. That's disgusting. Of course, Dika-chan was the only one to give an answer that made sense. Tomitake-san got riled up and did a victory pose like he was 10 years younger. That's perfect. We continued walking through the festival with Mion in the front. Now we looked like a family of six. It had some intensity to it. Tomitake-san was a bit surprised, but to us it was just the same as always, regardless of how terrible a penalty it was. Rena was also brimming with determination. She didn't have any intention of losing. I tousled Rena's hair to lighten the mood. She giggled to hide her embarrassment. Tomitake, I relate to you so much in this moment. Tomitake-san whispered that to nobody in particular. At that moment we heard at that moment we heard an old man call out in a strong voice. Looking over, I realized it was the man Mion had greeted right before the festival. His stall was a shooting gallery. It was the usual setup where you had to knock down the prize you wanted with a cork gun. Everybody shouted their agreement. There was no need to consider how to win, since the condition for victory was simply size. The biggest prize of the stall, it went without question. It was that one, wasn't it? Rena was gazing longingly at a stuffed animal. It was intentionally placed on an unsteady platform so it was possible to get if you hit the right spot. Damn. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that is correct. Okay? That means that these Japanese stall owners are much more courteous, fair, kind, and benevolent than the Western stall owners, which will purposefully make it ridiculously hard, outright impossible, or rig the game in their favor to the point where even if they do lose, they'll make so much profit that it doesn't matter. These Japanese guys, assuming Keiichi's point of view is correct, are much better people. And that's where my second point comes in. Assuming he is correct. This Keiichi dude is what, 15? 16? He wouldn't think like that. He's too smart. Well, given his behavior, he's probably really good at games, but not much else. Yep, I'm glad we both saw this. The intent analysis had already begun. In this club, you'll get eaten alive if you don't come prepared. Everything hinges on what plan you can come up with before the main event. At some point, a large crowd had gathered around us making a big fuss. There was this much of a following in our club's infamous events. Tomitaka-san's take on the situation was pretty good. He gets what our club is about. She didn't say bon. After a couple of matches, it ended up with me on being first. When the shooting range guy handed her a rifle, Mion looked at it over intently. She didn't forget to check out the cork bullet either. Mion raised the gun in one swift motion. It was completely different from her careful inspection. She was shooting from the hip. Fire. Reload. Fire. Reload. Fire. Pop. Flop. Flop. 3 candy boxes fell one after the other. A big haul. Excuse me. A crowd paused in a moment of awe and then erupted in cheers. Tomitaka-san was at a loss for words after seeing such shooting prowess. Don't worry about it, Sadako will get infinitely better with a gun. Just give her a few hundred hours or so. Her accuracy was incredible. Her choice of targets wasn't bad either. The three Mion had gone after were fairly large and pretty easy to knock over. They were all targets with very high return of investment. Who's up next? Satoko. Wait, I don't have to read that. Next was Satoko. The rifle looked a bit big for her little body, but it didn't seem like she had any problem with the weight. She proclaimed that she was going after the teddy bear. Damn, Sadako, such a bald move. Satoko was the opposite of Mion. She aimed at the target quite carefully and squeezed the trigger. The two bullets struck the bear in the torso, but it only shifted a bit. You need to aim higher towards the head or it won't work. Sadako's third bullet wasn't aimed at the bear, but at the candy box below its arm. She went boldly after the big catch, but since she switched over to less impressive prey at the last second, the crowd only gave a strained laugh. Were they laughing because she lacked courage? These fools know nothing. The palm of Mion's outstretched hand went pump as it tapped down lightly on Satoko. She appeared to just be talking hot air, but this was actually completely calculated. Damn that Satoko, just to avoid being in last place, she dared to switch over to an easy target. Without shame or honor. Magnificent. I've been looking at. Never mind. Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Rena was up next. She couldn't hit the broadside of a barn as regular Rena, but she said that bear was cute. It's Rena. It's Rena Ryugu. If it was going to get that teddy bear. Okay. Tomitaka-san wheeled around to see what all the commotion the spectators were making was about. If it was to get that bear, she'd be able to shoot through a pinhole. Though one known as Rena Ryugu could do it. Rena couldn't hide her excitement over the bear's slow rocking. Now Rena couldn't lose. Another big cheer. Rena's bullet hit the bear's forehead again. Not enough. The bear seemed to wobble more than before. Hmm. You never know with Rena-chan's skill it might be. While Tomitaka-san was just as excited as the crowd, Nika-chan's analysis was not swayed by emotion. If Rena had 10 more shots, she could surely knock it over. But with just one more, no matter how you looked at it, no go. The crowd let out a dejected groan. She had shot it right in the forehead 3 times. It was a bit late, but they gave her a good round of applause for the attempt. She should be praised for her valor, but she had no trophies to show for it. Then, at that moment, the old man flicked one of the candy boxes with her finger and handed it to Rena. Ladies and gentlemen, female privilege in the 80s, and they said it didn't exist. Bullshit. This is not a realistic festival stall worker. These guys are cutthroat businessmen whose only intention in life is to make a profit. Also, this looks like Pac Man, but green with a frog. There was another shower of applause. Rena turned bright red, and I pulled her back over to us by her hand. It was easy to see that it only needed a little more to be knocked over. Rena had done quite a lot for me. I still needed to pay her back for that delicious picnic. Tomitaki-san knows. He sees that it's not just three, you need a little bit more. But he's acting all tough so as to not give away his intention. I like it. What? Tomitaki-san had stolen the words right out of my mouth. Damn you, old man Tomitake. Stealing the good parts for yourself. You were going to do the same thing. A small hand stretched over and fell gently on my head just before I was overcome with frustration. Tomitake-san carefully studied the bear. Setting her sights, she shouldered the rifle while holding the other two shots in his hand. The time between shots was short. It was meaningless to shoot again once it stopped shaking. So Tomitake-san was relying on rapid fire to win the battle. It was visibly wobbling much more than it had before, but that was all. It still didn't fall over. All of Rena's momentary expectation from watching its sway violently turned into a dejected sigh. Exactly. That was it. It meant Tomitake-san had no spoils of war. I was the fifth shooter. Took the ref from Tomitake-san. If I took the ruthless route as Mion had suggested, then I'd go for something insignificant. Except, when I picked up the rifle, I definitely got a feeling from it. It was burning passion, passed down to me by Tomitake-san. The regret of not being man enough to fell the bear that Rena wanted. Yes, that's right. This is simping behavior, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do this. If I didn't aim for the bear, then I wouldn't be a man. If you don't aim for the bear, then you're tactical. Well, if you promised it, that's a different story. You must keep your promises. The crowd went wild when they saw our conversation. This scene has the same structure to it as the whole and then everybody clapped after posting an image of yourself on social media and a brief description about whatever awesome thing you did. That's not it. Fine men of the crowd. If I didn't do this, then Rena might mug the old man running the stall on his way home. Rena might actually do that depending on your timeline, so he's not entirely wrong. My apologies depending on your fragment. That's not it. That's not it at all. Why can't I just express my honest feelings? The rule was to knock over the stall, right? What's stopping Keiichi from shooting two and then throwing the gun? I shouted over to the guy. Huh? The crowd murmured amongst themselves. Tell that to Tomo and Mami from Madoka Magica. Mion was able to figure it out magnificently. What if the other two rifles are damaged? Or what if he only had one rifle? What would you do then, Cage-san? Tomitaki-san went silent, peering at me and the bear through the lens. His photographer's blood predicted a miracle will occur. And then the crowd finally picked up on what I was planning. They let out a great cheer. They chanted my name, Keiichi! Rapid fire is the key. If I miss, all is for naught. Phew. After letting out a deep breath, I paused. Relax. Now. Photo negative colors because we're serious now. That moment, it felt like time itself had stopped. I felt like I could see the trajectory of the bullets. Hit it and knock it down. The first shot hit the bear on its head. The second, the third. The bear swayed hard. And then the cheers began before the stuffed animal even finished falling off the shelf. The guy caught it before it hit the ground and tossed it over to me. Should I do an eye tracker for this? I totally should. I'm thinking about it. I could definitely do an eye tracker for this, and it'd be really funny. But then again, I'd probably be accused of being a lolicon or something, so I don't really know if I should do it or not. Still mean Tometaki-san lost. Yeah, seriously, Rika hasn't even gone yet. They're holding up the teddy bear like it was the championship trophy. I handed it to Rana. Wait, hold on to it until after the victor has been declared. All you've done is given Rena the game piece. Damn it, Keiichi. Rena, thinking she was never actually going to get it, was momentarily speechless. I pushed the stuffed animal towards her again. This time she embraced and accepted it. Very true. What kind of dress is this? Just thinking about it. Looks nice. Although I don't get the hat. I guess it's supposed to be like what, some navy hat, although I don't actually know why she would be wearing this. I like everything about this design except the hat. And I know I'm gonna get someone commenting on me saying, no, the hat is part of what makes it good, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Rena dove at me. Mion told me a few days later that Rena kissed me, but I didn't realize it during all the excitement at the time. I remembered what I was trying to say to Tomita-san earlier. There really isn't much of anything here, but there are lots of things you can't find anywhere else. I gained a lot from coming to Hinamizawa, especially at that moment. The crowd's cheers echoed on and on. From the altar setup to the front of the shrine, the drums sounded with a booming echo. It was the finale of the festival. Both Rika-chan and Tomita-san gave their farewells and disappeared into the crowd. Rika never even shot the gun. I agree, Mion. And I have a certain suspicion that in a few hundred hours, Sadako is going to be agreeing with you as well. Since she was carrying such a ridiculously large stuffed animal, she was being carried by a flow of people. Before losing sight of Mion, I grabbed the back of Rena's collar. Don't say it like that, you're going to get this poor man in trouble. I didn't feel ashamed at all. Rena was ashamed enough for the both of us. I grabbed onto Rena's hand and dashed after Mion and the others. Where's the teddy bear? I hadn't realized Rena's hand was so delicate. Maybe she needed a bit more exercise and nutrition? That wasn't what I meant. Not at all. My ears burned. I tried to keep calm. I repeated the phrase "keep it together, Keiichi Maebara" in my mind, but it didn't look like I would be able to anytime soon. I really didn't want Rena to see my face right then, so I pushed onwards, dragging her along without looking back even once. There was already a huge group of people gathered at the altar in front of the shrine. The fire at the altar made it as bright as midday and just as hot. There was a pile of futons warded with sanctified rope in front of the altar. Come to think of it, they did say it was a festival where they did something with the cottons and futons. Satoko waved her hand in the front row. Making our way through the mass of people, we reached the spot they saved. Sorry, my voice got a bit groggy there. My apologies. How was it? Were you able to have a little bit of excitement with Rena? Instead of replying, Mion gave us a perverse grin. Well, I don't know. Rena turned bright red, puff of steam shooting out of her. I heard something slice through the air and turned around to see Mion on the ground with a swelter on her face. I see she went to the Toradora school of avoiding being embarrassed. Thump! The thunderous beat of the drum echoed, silencing the crowd. It was a solemn ritual. Rika-chan entered dressed as a shrine maiden, followed by members of the municipal community. The elders all looked at Rika-chan and clasped their hands in praise. And I'm going to call it there, ladies and gentlemen. Because I'm pretty much just going to teach Ice Beam to Ava there. And we're going to be good, okay? What you're not seeing, the reason I'm staying still there for a little bit, is because I'm debating whether or not I should do this grinding again and get 3 more Ice Beams. But at that point, what am I even doing? At that point, I'm just insane. And it's not something I wanted to do. Very well, ladies and gentlemen. Watch me teach Goldine the Ice Beam, and we will all be good. I also added an extra U to the end of Ryugu for some reason on my Geodude. I'll fix that in the next part. There you go. I have not forgotten about this Let's Play. It's just... It takes so long to get one part out when it takes much less time to get other parts of different series out. So doing this kind of Let's Play consistently would put me behind schedule, and that's not what I want. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed.